Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Abhirami and I am here to discuss with you about the today's topic, that is the ulna. So let's start with the location of the ulna. The ulna is also called as the medial bone of the forearm and it is homologous with the fibula of the leg. The ulna forms two joints with the radius, that is the superior radioulnar joint and the inferior radioulnar joint. So the superior radioulnar joint is formed somewhere over here because it has a radial notch, and the inferior radioulnar joint with the radius happens because the radius has a ulnar notch. Okay. The ulna has something called the olecranon process, the trochlear notch and the coronoid process. The olecranon process attaches with the olecranon fossa of the humerus. The trochlear notch attaches with the trochlea of the humerus and the coronoid process attaches with the coronoid fossa of the humerus. Now let's talk about the borders and surfaces of the ulna. The ulna has three borders and three surfaces. The three borders are the anterior border, posterior border and the lateral border. The three surfaces are the anterior surface, posterior surface and medial surface. For the simplicity, let us imagine that this is the anterior border, posterior border and lateral border. Then the surface between the anterior border and the lateral border is called the anterior surface. The surface between the anterior border and the posterior border is called the medial surface, and the surface between the posterior border and the lateral border is called the posterior surface. And the lateral border is also called as the interosseous border because it gives attachment to the interosseous membrane. So let's talk about where the anterior border starts and ends. The anterior border starts at the medial margin of the ulnar tuberosity and it moves downwards, and in its lower one-third it moves backwards and ends at the medial side of the styloid process. The posterior border is subcutaneous and it starts from the back of the olecranon process over here and it moves downwards until it ends at the base of the styloid process. Now let's talk about the lateral border. The lateral border or the interosseous border is the sharpest in its middle part, and on the superior part it continues with the supinator crest. On the inferior part it ends at the lateral side of the head. Now let's talk about the three surfaces, that is the anterior surface, posterior surface and medial surface. The anterior surface lies between the anterior border and the lateral border, and the anterior surface has a nutrient foramen on its upper part, and the nutrient foramen is directed upwards. The nutrient foramen carries a branch of the anterior interosseous artery. Now let's talk about the posterior surface. The posterior surface is present between the posterior border and the lateral border, and the posterior surface is divided into three parts by two lines, that is the oblique line and the vertical line. The oblique line divides the posterior surface into a upper part and a lower part, and the vertical line divides the posterior surface into a medial part and a lateral part. Now let's talk about the attachments of the ulna. In the attachments of the ulna, there are 13 muscles and I have divided them into 8 and 5. So these 5 muscles are present in the radius also. The first one is the pronator teres. The pronator teres is present over here, and this part is the medial margin of the coronoid process. Okay, and the pronator quadratus is present in the oblique ridge on the lower part of the anterior surface. And the supinator muscle is present in the supinator crest. Oh, this is the supinator muscle. So it is present in the supinator crest and it forms the triangular area in front of the crest. And the abductor pollicis longus muscle is present over here, and the abductor muscle is actually present on the lateral side of the posterior aspect on the upper end. Okay, now let's talk about the flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. The flexor digitorum superficialis muscle is over here, and this muscle is present at the tubercle at the uppermost end on the medial margin. Okay. Now let's talk about the 8 muscles that are uncommon and are for ulna only. They don't have radial heads. The first is the triceps, and the triceps is present over here, that is the superior aspect of the posterior part of the ulna. And then let's talk about the brachialis. The brachialis is present over here and it covers the anterior margin of the coronoid process and the ulnar tuberosity. The anconeus is again present on the olecranon process on its lateral aspect of the posterior surface. And then the extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor flexor carpi ulnaris and flexor digitorum profundus, all three are present over here, this part. And the flexor digitorum profundus arises from three things, that is the upper 3/4 of the anterior surface, and then over here on the lateral aspect, on the medial aspect of the posterior surface, and then in the medial aspect of the olecranon process. The flexor carpi ulnaris and the extensor carpi ulnaris arise only from the medial aspect of the posterior surface. Now let's talk about the extensor pollicis longus and the extensor indicis. Both the extensor pollicis longus and the extensor indicis arises from the lateral aspect of the posterior surface. They are present on the lateral side. Now let's talk about the 6 other attachments that are present on the ulna. The first is the interosseous membrane. The interosseous membrane is attached to the lateral border. This is the lateral border of this anterior aspect of the ulna, and this is the lateral border of the posterior aspect of the ulna. So the interosseous membrane is attached to the lateral border. Then the oblique cord, it is present on the lateral margin of the ulnar tuberosity. And then the ulnar collateral ligament is a supportive ligament which is attached to the styloid process. The capsular ligament of the elbow joint is attached to the borders or the margins of the trochlear notch, that is over here. And the trochlear notch at its margins presents the olecranon process and the coronoid process. So you can say that the capsular ligament of the elbow joint is attached to the olecranon process and the coronoid process. So the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint is attached to the two margins of the ulnar notch, and the articular disc of the inferior radioulnar joint is attached to the part just lateral to the styloid process. Now let's talk about the side determination of the ulna. The upper end is hook-like and its concavity is directed forwards. That means this is the upper end and this is the olecranon process. So it is hook-like. Over here you can see it better. So it is hook-like and its concavity is directed forwards, and the lateral border is sharp and crest-like. We already talked about the lateral border, which gives attachment to the interosseous membrane, and it is sharp and crest-like. The styloid process lies medial to the head of the ulna. So since this is the lateral border, this is the styloid process which is lying medial to the head of the ulna. Now let's go into detail about the upper end and the lower end of the ulna. On the upper end, we are going to talk about the olecranon process and then the coronoid process, the radial notch and the trochlear notch. The olecranon process has 5 surfaces, that is the anterior surface, posterior surface, superior surface, lateral surface and medial surface. The anterior surface is articular and it forms the upper part of the trochlea. So this is the anterior surface and it is articular. It articulates with the olecranon fossa and it also forms the upper part of the trochlea. The posterior surface is covered by a bursa which separates it from the skin. So what that means is that the bursa is a fluid-filled cavity and the posterior part is covered by the bursa. So then the skin comes, so bursa separates the posterior part from the skin. The upper part forms the point of the elbow. So this is the upper part which forms the point of the elbow. Now let's talk about the coronoid process. The coronoid process has 4 surfaces, that is the superior surface, anterior surface, medial surface and lateral surface. The superior surface forms the lower part of the trochlear notch and it is articular. So the superior surface is present over here and it forms the lower part of the trochlear notch. This is the trochlear notch and it forms the lower part of the trochlear notch. And the anterior surface is rough and triangular. So this is the anterior surface and it is rough and triangular and its lower part forms the ulnar tuberosity. This is the ulnar tuberosity. The lower part of the anterior surface forms the ulnar tuberosity. The lateral surface has the upper part and the lower part. The upper part has the radial notch and the radial notch has 2 borders, the anterior border and the posterior border. The annular ligament attaches with the anterior and the posterior borders of the radial notch. And the lower part forms a depressed area to accommodate the ulnar tuberosity, and the lower part is limited by a ridge called the supinator crest. Now let's talk about the trochlear notch and the radial notch. The radial notch is present over here and it forms the superior radioulnar joint, and the trochlear notch is present over here, and the trochlear notch attaches with the trochlea of the humerus to form the elbow joint. Now let's talk about the lower end of the ulna. The lower end has the head and the styloid process. The head articulates with the ulnar notch of the radius and forms the inferior radioulnar joint, and the head is divided from the wrist by an articular disc, and the ulnar nerve and the ulnar artery lie over here, over the head. Okay, and between the head and the styloid process, the tendon of the muscle extensor carpi ulnaris passes through. So the muscle is over here, and between the head and the styloid process, a tendon passes like this. Now let's talk about the ossification of the ulna. So the ulna ossifies by one primary center and two secondary centers. So the shaft and the upper end ossify by the primary center, which appears in the 8th week of intrauterine life, and the olecranon process has the secondary center on its superior part, which forms a scale-like epiphysis, and it appears by the 10th year and fuses by the 16th year. The lower end has a secondary center which appears by the 5th year and fuses by the 18th year. The lower end is the growing end of the bone, and we have a statement that says that the nutrient foramen must lie opposite to the growing end. Likewise, the nutrient foramen lies on the anterior part and it grows upwards, but the growing end is the lower end. Now we will talk about the clinical anatomy of the ulna. This is the last part of this session. In the clinical anatomy, we have the fracture and cross union. The fracture of the ulna may happen alone or together with the radius. And the cross union between the ulna and the radius, also called as the radioulnar synostosis, may happen, and it leads to the condition where we cannot pronate or supinate the hand. So this is supination and this is pronation. Okay, and dislocation of the elbow. Dislocation of the elbow happens when we fall with the outstretched hand in a slightly flexed position. The olecranon process will shift posteriorly. So usually in the normal condition, that is when we keep our hand completely extended, the olecranon process lies in the same plane with the medial epicondyle and the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. And in a fully flexed condition, the olecranon process, medial epicondyle and lateral epicondyle form an equilateral triangle which is displaced during the dislocation of the elbow. The fracture of the olecranon process is very common, and this happens when we fall with the pointed elbow, and the coronoid process fracture is not that common. It is usually associated with the dislocation of the elbow. Madelung's deformity is when the radius is not very well developed on its lower end. This causes the dorsal subluxation of the ulna. That is the end of the session. So if anybody has any doubts on the clavicle, scapula, humerus and radius, you can check out my previous videos. So thank you for listening to me. Please like, share and subscribe this video if you like it.